It's 10 o'clock at night, and you're standing in your kitchen in your socks, staring down at a mess on the floor that your dog just left behind. Your stomach drops a little, not because of the mess itself, you've cleaned up worse, but because of the question that immediately follows. Is this normal, or is something wrong with my dog? If you've ever felt that specific mix of worry and confusion, you're not alone. Almost every dog owner in America has stood exactly where you're standing right now, phone in hand, typing the same question into a search bar at midnight. And here's the truth that most people don't hear often enough. Vomiting in dogs isn't one single thing. It's a signal. Sometimes it's nothing more than your dog eating too fast or gulping down grass in the backyard. Other times, it's your dog's body waving a flag, trying to tell you that something deeper is going on. The hard part isn't noticing that your dog threw up. The hard part is knowing which kind of vomiting you're dealing with. Because the difference between let's just watch him tonight and we need to get to the vet right now can come down to details that are easy to miss if you don't know what to look for. That's exactly what we're going to walk through together. Not a list, not a lecture, just a real conversation about what your dog's vomiting might be telling you, the warning signs that matter most, and how to tell the difference between a passing stomach upset and something that needs real medical attention. Let's start with something that might surprise you. Dogs vomit more easily than humans do. It's actually built into their biology. Their gag reflex is more sensitive, and throwing up is one of the fastest ways their body protects itself from something that shouldn't be there. So on some level, a little vomiting now and then isn't automatically a red alert. Dogs are curious, and curious dogs eat strange things. Grass, dirt, a piece of last week's sandwich that fell behind the couch. Their stomachs are dealing with a lot more variety than ours ever will. But here's where it gets more complicated, because vomiting can also be one of the earliest signs of things like an intestinal blockage, an infection, kidney trouble, pancreatitis, or even something as serious as poisoning. And the tricky part is, in the first few hours, mild vomiting from something serious can look almost identical to mild vomiting from something harmless. That's why paying attention to the details, not just the act of throwing up, but everything around it, is what actually protects your dog. So let's talk about the first warning sign, and it's one that catches a lot of owners off guard: the color and texture of the vomit itself. Most people glance at it, wince, clean it up, and move on. But that quick glance can actually tell you a lot. Clear or foamy vomit, especially if it happens on an empty stomach, is often just bile, a normal part of digestion that built up because your dog hasn't eaten in a while. It's uncomfortable, but usually not an emergency. Yellow or greenish vomit points to bile as well, and it's common in dogs who eat on an irregular schedule. But if you ever see streaks of red, or something that looks like coffee grounds, that's your body's way of telling you this isn't ordinary. Red suggests fresh blood, and the coffee ground appearance can mean blood that's been partially digested, which sometimes points to bleeding somewhere in the stomach or upper intestine. That's the kind of detail that should move you from keep an eye on it to call the vet today. The second warning sign is something almost every dog owner has experienced without realizing its significance: how often the vomiting happens. A single episode, especially after your dog ate too quickly or got into something outside, isn't usually a 5-alarm fire. Dogs' stomachs are resilient, and one-off vomiting is often their body simply resetting itself. But repeated vomiting, say, more than 2 or 3 times within a few hours, or vomiting that continues into the next day, is a completely different story. That pattern suggests the body isn't settling down on its own, and something is actively irritating the digestive system or preventing it from working properly. If your dog vomits once and then acts completely normal afterward, eating, drinking, playing like nothing happened, that's reassuring. If your dog vomits and then seems off, quiet, withdrawn, uninterested in food, that combination is worth taking seriously. Which brings us to the third warning sign, and honestly, it might be the most important one of all: your dog's behavior after they vomit. Vomiting itself is a symptom, but how your dog acts afterward tells you how their body is actually handling whatever caused it. A dog who throws up once and then trots over to the water bowl, tail wagging, ready for a walk, is telling you their body bounced back quickly. But a dog who becomes lethargic, hides in a corner, refuses to make eye contact, or just seems not themselves is telling you something different. Dogs can't explain pain or nausea in words, so behavior becomes their language. Learning to read that language is one of the most powerful things you can do as a pet owner, because it often reveals problems long before more obvious symptoms show up. And now let's talk about something a lot of owners don't think to check, but should: whether your dog is still able to keep water down. This matters more than people realize. Vomiting itself causes fluid loss, and if your dog can't hold down water either, dehydration can set in surprisingly fast, especially in smaller breeds, puppies, and senior dogs. A dog who vomits but is still drinking normally and staying hydrated is in a much safer position than a dog who can't keep anything down at all. If your dog is refusing water, or drinking, and immediately vomiting it back up, That's a sign the situation is escalating and shouldn't be handled with a wait and see approach. The fifth warning sign ties closely to something that quietly worries a lot of dog owners: abdominal pain or a swollen, tense belly. This one deserves extra attention because it can point towards something more urgent, like a blockage or, in larger and deep-chested breeds, a life-threatening condition called bloat. If you gently press on your dog's stomach and they flinch, cry out, or try to move away, or if their belly looks visibly distended or hard to the touch, that's not something to monitor overnight. That's something that needs immediate veterinary attention. It's easy to underestimate this sign because dogs are often stoic. They don't always show pain the way we expect them to. Some dogs will simply become unusually still, breathing a little faster than normal, holding their body differently. Trust that instinct in yourself that says something looks off, even if you can't fully explain why. Here's a warning sign that's easy to overlook simply because it feels like a smaller detail: whether there's diarrhea happening alongside the vomiting. When both ends of the digestive system are affected at the same time, it usually means whatever is going on isn't isolated to just an upset stomach, it's affecting the whole digestive tract. This combination is common with dietary indiscretion, meaning your dog ate something they shouldn't have, but it can also be a sign of infections, parasites,